Good evening, visitors, and welcome to the Australian War Memorial's last post ceremony. My name is Jared Pratt, and joining us today from the Royal Australian Navy is Captain Michael Manfield. We warmly welcome the family of Gunner Felix Louis Bloch, whose story will be told shortly. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. We acknowledge the members of RSL and Services Clubs Association, RSL Victoria and RSL Queensland, who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony from around Australia. During the ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the pool of reflection by family, visitors and students on behalf of the North Albany Senior High School from Albany in Western Australia. I invite you all now to please stand and join in singing the National Anthem. Students, and if you're able, please be seated. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight, we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 102,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and operations for more than a century. But first, we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the pool of reflection.
Today we remember and pay tribute to Gunner Felix Louis Bloch. Felix Bloch was born in 1897, the son of Mark and Rose Bloch from the Melbourne suburb of St Kilda. Raised in the Jewish faith, Felix attended school at Queen's College, where he was involved in school cadets as part of the Universal Service Scheme. He went on to study electrical engineering at the Working Men's College of Melbourne and paraded part-time for the 34th Fortress Company Engineers at Fort Nepean and Fort Queenscliff. Felix was eager to follow his older brother Harry into the artillery and enlisted in the Australian Imperial Force in January 1917, several weeks after his 19th birthday. After a period of training at the military camp at Maribyrnong, where he trained as a signaller, Felix sailed for England with a reinforcement group for the Field Artillery Brigade in March 1918. He carried out further training on the Salisbury Plain near Wiltshire before embarking for fighting on the Western Front. He was posted to the 106th Howitzer Battery, 6th Field Artillery Brigade, which was making its way south from Belgium in April 1918. Felix had joined the battery in one of the war's most critical periods. Less than 2 weeks earlier, German troops launched a massive offensive that succeeded in breaking the stalemate of trench warfare on the Western Front. They overran the British and French positions on the Somme, striking towards the major logistical and support hub of Amiens. Australian troops were in Belgium when the offensive began, but were rushed south to help defend the city. After Felix joined the 106th Battery, its 4.5-inch howitzers established positions outside the village of Riedmont, where they fired on German targets over the following weeks. As a signaller, Felix would have received fire missions and other messages from brigade headquarters by telegraph and relayed them on to the men feeding the guns. The German offensive was blunted and Amiens remained in Allied hands, but the operations that followed prepared the British and Dominion forces in launching their own counter-offensive. After further fighting around Villers-Bretonneux and Hamel, the guns of the 6th Field Artillery Brigade were in action during the Battle of Amiens on the 8th of August and participated in the advance that followed. Laying down bombardments to support the advancing infantry, the brigade dug in outside the village of Rosières, where they continued to fire. Although the enemy was close to defeat, their own guns remained active and frequently shelled the Australian artillery lines. Such was the case on the morning of the 17th of August 1918, when German guns bombarded the positions occupied by the 106th Battery. According to an eyewitness, Felix was in a dugout with 5 other signallers that took a direct hit from a high explosive shell. All 6 men were killed instantly. Felix was buried nearby and later reinterred at the nearby Heath Cemetery. A small epitaph by his grieving father appears on his headstone. To live in the hearts of those we love is not to die. Felix Bloch was 20 years old. His name is listed on the Roll of Honour on my right, among more than 60,000 Australians who died while serving in the First World War. His photograph is displayed beside the pool of reflection. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Gunner Felix Louis Bloch, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
Lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozières or in the low scrub at Gallipoli with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. We thank you all for visiting the Australian War Memorial and wish you all a very good night. Thank you.